All right. Upselling and add-ons. I'm going to try to go through this a little bit quick to catch up on time. There's a lot of duplicate information in here from the package class. They're kind of both standalone classes, which is why they're kind of overlapping a little bit. So, all right, we went over this. Psychology of knowing when to offer upsells. Okay, I said, well, I put it there just to say we'll talk about it later. Lead people to the upsells you think are the most important. You know, for me, that was rehearsal dinners. And rehearsal dinners ended up being the most important thing. They were coverage, they added on. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. But that was what we decided to do. Figure out what upsells are most important to you. Maybe they're things you like to do. Maybe you think they offer the most value to your client. Should be, I guess, pretty self-explanatory. Focus on the package first, not the upsells. If you focus too much on the upsells first, I think you're creating a barrier of entry. You just want them to sign a dotted line to book you for your services before you start going crazy into upsells. I used to go down that path all the time. I gave people way too many options. Apple has it right. Keep it simple. Just offer one product, like 3 different colors, done. There's other companies that offer 100 different products, 100 different combinations. It's daunting to the client or the consumer. Keeping it simple, get the package first, then you can inundate them with upsells later on. Maybe not inundate them, but you know. Your limit to sell is based solely on your ability to cast vision to the client. The reason why I say this is because so many times it's kind of like if you can effectively communicate the why you're selling, or the why that you're offering people certain things, the better you can do that, the more people will catch onto your vision and possibly then purchase what you're talking about. You can't just line item things and say, hey, this is what we offer. Pick 1 or 2 things that are passionate to you and then sell them directly to the client. And your ability to do that and to get them to engage with it and want it will directly correlate to them picking it up. Types of upsells, coverage, hours. And just to kind of let you guys know, coverage is not limited to the day of the wedding. It's not even limited to the day before the wedding. Figure out from the client, especially when you're dealing with like Indian weddings and stuff like that, there could be 4 or 5 days of events happening. So it's always important when you're talking to your client, don't just ask when the wedding is, ask them about all the stuff related to the wedding. They may not want coverage for everything. They might not know they want coverage for different things, but as soon as you find out all the different things that are happening, then you know what the possibilities are, what you could sell them on. Even the day after brunch, the day after the wedding brunch, 2 hours of coverage, offer a mini doc at it. It could be an additional $1,000 for everyone here. And it's pretty kind of boring footage. Doesn't really do much for you as a creative, but they might want it because it might be a really nice moment for them. So, pre-wedding films, love story films, save-the-date films. This is the type of stuff you want to do before the wedding, obviously, because it's pre-wedding. But the other thing is photo montages. Get into the turf of the photographer. Videographers can sell photo montages all day long. A lot of videographers, a lot of photographers don't like doing them. If you have the right software, if you have the right even scanning capabilities, these can be an easy, quick cash cow that can get you to an additional $500,000 per wedding and also leads to what I call the slippery slope of upsells, which I'll get to in a second.
I'll elaborate what you get with the contacts, because I used to put all this research on this.
Well, you can just do basic Ken Burns, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
You're not doing this in Premiere, are you?
No, I've gone back and forth. One of the things I do want to mention, especially if you guys are looking into the Song Freedom Firefly, the Firefly, they have a photo montage software set that makes photo montages very simple. And if you guys are already looking into what Song Freedom has to offer, then you can pretty much get photo montage making software for free. They include it with it, and it's so simple to use. So simple, you can make it quick, $500, $750, license the music directly through them, and you basically created it for free, and you're selling it for whatever you want to for. Stackable upsell examples. Stackable upsells is kind of like let's say that I sell someone on a love story film. Like a practical example, we had the wedding in October, and when I met with a couple, this is the last time I met with a couple, when I talked about a $15,000 wedding package, they initially got a $7,500 wedding package from us. I met with them. While I met with them, I threw out the concept of the love story film. The couple, I didn't even realize at the time, but the couple just like latched onto it, contacted me later, said they wanted the love story film. The love story film was $1,500. I flew out to DC, filmed it over the course of a day. So that was $1,500. Then later on, I told them, hey, for an additional $500, I'll double the length of the film because there's so much good footage. So I'm in at $2,000. Then, I offered to do the playback at the rehearsal dinner coverage. First, we add the rehearsal dinner coverage. Then we're adding in a projector and screen rental, the PA system. When it was all said and done, it doubled the cost of the package from like $7,500 to $15,000, just from offering a love story film. And I forget exactly what it was for the couple, but I do a projector screen, PA system, the whole nine to be able to just come in, have it ready to go, have a really professional presentation. Honestly, as a creative on the creative side, it was a pretty awesome night. They showed it to like 400, 300, 250.
It was a big rehearsal dinner.
It was big. It
was like a wedding.
Much bigger than normal, but it was massive. And at the end of it, it was a standing ovation, and like, the couple brought me up to the front, and even though she edited it, it was great. I kind of stole her thunder, but as a creative, it felt really good. I felt like we were honored for the time and energy we put into it.
But it was a surprise to the couple. They hadn't seen it until the rehearsal dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Their friends had seen it, so there wasn't anything too surprising in there. But all that to say, from one upsell, I like turned one upsell into like 6 or 7 different upsells.
And you guys will get the cost of our upsells. That's what he was asking, was the cost.
Well, it's kind of like one of those things, though, where those are the costs, but I think I bundled it a little bit just because they were doing so much, and it's kind of felt good about doing that. Post-wedding edits, documentary edits after the fact. Wedding miss, I forget what I was thinking about for that, but just anything else, 4K, raw footage, that type of stuff. Timing of upsells. Limit the amount of upsells you present at the time of booking. Kind of was talking about this before, just stressing it again. Soft sells on a couple different things at the time of booking. You can have just a couple different options that they might gravitate onto. Don't even talk about it. If they pick it, great. Additional money. I won't even give it much other thought. I have had success with the 4K upsell before the first film is delivered. Okay, so if after the wedding, it's after the wedding, I have the first film basically done. I tell the client, because at the time we were offering 1080, but then 4K was an upgrade. Right now, all of our packages are 4K. But I told the client, I said, look, do you want us to edit this with 4K? I will give you a deal. If we do it right now, I'll give it to you for half off. It was just an arbitrary number. I like throwing out half off. So I offered them to like $350 if they would do it right now, but we had to do it now. We couldn't do it after the film was delivered. And so just because we needed to know if we were going to edit it in 4K or not, or export it and deliver it in 4K. So it's it was an effective time to do that upsell before you gave them the film. Because you're like, do you want the film or do you want the film with 4 times the detail for $300 more? And when you put it that way, it's like, well, 4 times the detail. Yeah, I want that. Do a hard push for upsells after the features dropped. We talked about that the last class. One more push for upsells before final delivery. So at the end, I've done everything contractually obligated for the couple, and I talk to them. I say, hey, look, I always give my clients an option before I send the final package to see if maybe you want any additional doc edits or stuff like that. Do a kind of like a soft push at that point, just because I've already done a hard push usually. And every once in a while, someone will be like, oh, I kind of wanted that doc edit. It's easier to do before you do the final delivery. After the final delivery, upsells for me get very, very infrequent. So that's usually the last big chance you have. Oftentimes, a client will book your base package. They need more hours. This is an easy method to get them to upgrade their package if the value is there. If you're looking at the packages we offer, the initial package we have is like 8 hours. They might say, hey, we need 10 hours of coverage. I can point them back to the packages and say, look, for 2 additional hours, it's $1,000. And I give them the full price. I don't give them a discounted rate. It's $1,000. Or for an additional like $1,000 more, you not only get the hours, but you get a film that's twice as long. It's just an effective means of leverage to say, spend $1,000 to get this, or spend $2,000 to get this. And it just has such an amazing more value that a lot of times I would say most of the times when I present it this way, the clients will spend the money to get the next package length. That's why I have different hours in each package, because I use those hours as leverage to get them to get bigger films. So is all this too fast? Is this kind of, anyone have any questions so far? Or package upsells typically have to happen pre-wedding, as additional hours can get difficult to figure out what to do with. Yes, I've done it before, but you can't really offer a package. I can't really offer a package upgrade after the wedding. And I've had clients who've wanted to do that because, let's say, they got a 4 to 6 minute film. Then after the wedding, they realized they wanted an 8 to 10. And then maybe one of the packages also to include a teaser. And they're like, hey, can I just pay the difference? It just gets a little complicated because the packages also include 2 hours additional. Then sometimes they're like, well, since it included 2 hours additional, can I also get a discount on this because you didn't do that? It just gets tricky. So always try to do your package upgrades before the wedding. And sometimes, every once in a while, like there'll be add-ons or upsells after the wedding. And then when I go back and look at all the documentation, I realize that they ended up paying more for their upsells and stuff than if they had just gotten the package. And I'm like, I kind of hope that they don't notice that and come back to me and say, hey, can you just give us that bundle discount you originally offered us? Yeah, unlike what I preached in my package class, I do discount upsells. I kind of was talking about that during intermission, I guess. Discounting upsells is a great way of kind of getting people to spend additional money that they might not have originally wanted to spend. A lot of times, pre-booking, I might have my full day doc edit at like $1,500 or $2,000, but then after the wedding and stuff, I'll say, a lot of times I'll go back to them and say, hey, we're offering a special discount for your doc edit. Instead of $1,500 is $1,000 or whatever, just as like an incentive for them to move forward. And what's great is a lot of times people will pay full price before the weddings, but after the weddings, if you give them the deal, they're much more apt to kind of jump on that type of stuff. Upsells can also be used as leverage. For example, throwing in an upsell to get the client to push to a new package tier. Yeah, I mean, if they're already teetering between the 2 lowest packages, sometimes I'll be like, look, or let's say they're looking at our packages and they're going between the middle 2 packages, and I'll say, look, if you get the one with rehearsal dinner, I'll also include the PA system rental for free. Normally a $750 value. It's going to save you a lot of money. We're going to have a PA system at your rehearsal dinner. So now I just added value to them spending more. And a lot of times when I offer stuff like that for free to get them to spend $2,000 additional, it's really worth it for me. So you're not actually giving it away for free. You're decreasing your overall how much you're making per item, but you're still making a lot more than you would have. Instead of them buying the PA system for rental for $500 or $750, they're spending $2,000, and something that you can do for free anyway, you just use to earn more money. So it's a great mentality to have of using your upsells as kind of leverage to kind of get people to spend more in their packages. Something to do obviously before they or during the booking process. And it's especially useful if they're if you have a client who's like, man, I just can't decide between these 2 packages, and find something that you can do cheap and easy, like a small little doc edit. Be like, look, if I gave you the formal dances and added into this package to get you to spend $1,500 more with this, could we do this for that? And most of the time they'll say yes. So it's a great tool for when they're kind of in between two different packages. Pricing for upsells is relative to your base package. I can sell a PA rental for like $750, because of it's kind of like relative to the amount of I'm charging for my weddings. If you're charging only $1,500 for your wedding, you probably can't make $750 for a PA rental. Same thing with the doc edit. If I charge $2,000 for doc edit, if you're only charging $1,500, $2,000 for your film, charging exactly the same amount of money for a doc edit, which isn't what they originally wanted, probably won't work out too well. So your upsells have to be priced relatively to your packages, so that way it's within kind of like the same scope. If you don't like doing it, don't include it or price it to be worth your time and effort and aggravation, i.e. same-day edits. Don't understand people who do same-day edits. All right, raising the pricing. Kind of like keeping your upsell rates relative to your package pricing. Upsells may end up in packages that are back in upsells list. When I was talking before about my methodology that I call the TikTok method for raising your packages, some things like the formal dances or the ceremony edit could go back and forth between in my package and out of my package and upsells, more towards an a la carte. And that's, they'll keep going back and forth, to kind of increase value in my packages, then remove it to kind of like, just to kind of as a way to increase my pricing.
So when you refer to your formal dance, is that just a full edit of just the bride and father and the bride and groom?
When we say formal dances, it's like, it would be the first dance, father, daughter, mother, son. If we say just first dance edit, then it's literally just a first dance. And I would say, if anything, the first dance is more valuable to them than all the formal dances. But a lot of people like formal dances, especially like if the parents are paying for it, they want it. So it's nice to have it for them. All right, here's a copy of what we offer. Wife is still Instagramming or something.
No Facebooking. I'm too old for Instagram.
Too old. She's TikToking. I just wanted to share this again. The reason for sharing this is because I want to encourage you all to have different ideas about things to offer in your own personal upsells list. And actually, I'll share with you one new idea I have that I got like 2 days ago. Is that contemplating doing some sort of a social media bundle edit, where maybe we have like 4 or 5 10 to 15 second long clips available to give to the bride within like a few weeks of the wedding, where maybe they'll spend like $500, $750. But the great thing about it is these are all clips we would have edited anyway, but they get it quick in these small little form factors, so that way they can just post to social media. Like a social media bundle edit. Because if you think about it, they love sharing some of the early photos from the photographer. And the photographer is able to capitalize on the hype for the wedding by getting these images out there. Now, if we were able to also have these little short 10 to 15 second long clips that the couple could share to social media, they're form factored, they're ready to just upload and share, they look great. And it could be a great means of getting engagement with the couple's audience. They get to see that, more people will see the work you created, and I think they'd be willing to spend money on that.
Is that something that you've seen traction for? Because it's hilarious that you mentioned that. That's something I was thinking of about 6 months ago, but I never ended up adding because it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like, okay, is somebody going to pay for like 15-second videos?
I mean, I think they would. I mean, when we did photography, people would pay for sneak peeks and, just having a few pictures within the first week or two. And so, I mean, because with photography, when you do sneak peeks, you could show like a sneak peek of the first dance, a sneak peek of, we now pronounce you husband and wife or whatever, and they raise their arms and they do the first kiss or whatever, a sneak peek of the introduction into the reception, a sneak peek of the Jewish couple on the chairs in the hora, or like an Indian couple kind of like doing like with the Barat or some other special dance that's happening, the Barat would probably be a great example of a social media ready clip. I think things like if you package like 4 or 5 or so of those things together, I think people would eat that up, and I think they'd be willing to pay. And again, we're not creating a real special edit. We're literally just taking some of the doc edit stuff we would have been doing anyway, cutting it down a little bit further, and just exporting it as is for something ready to be uploaded.
Do your music with that. Is the song that you've already done through that edit, do you just comes in and starts playing, or do you just try to put a different clip?
For 10 seconds long, I'm not really sure we need music. Like I said, this is something we've been tossing around. Haven't really pulled the trigger on it yet. Maybe just use natural audio. Ask me again in a few months. But the reason for me sharing this is that this is just me kind of experimenting with different ideas. Think things through. Like, what do your clients what might they want? There could be 100 different ideas of things that you could offer your clients that they'd be willing to pay money for. So your own ability to make money is limited by kind of your own vision about your offerings towards them. Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to toss it out there. Questions?
How often do you get brides to do the reveal party? I thought that was interesting.
That's pretty new. I haven't gotten anyone to bite on that yet.
Great idea.
It's something that the wedding community, I've talked about it with, so Taylor is with Jordan Bunch Productions, Lady Bird Studios. Didn't you guys have a deal where you rented out a theater in Austin? You never got one? So they had this idea about renting out a local theater where you could like put it on the big screen. You invite all of your friends and family. I have a feeling the need is there. We just haven't really hit the right clients for that yet. And a lot of times I keep things on a list long enough to figure out what I need to do to tweak it in order for it to gain mass appeal. Sarah?
Do you charge travel for your love stories? There's so many Atlanta weddings in and on here.
Generally, no. I make them pay for travel, but I don't charge for like a per diem on the day. Our philosophy is we charge enough money so that way when people want to do things, I've already made enough money to be happy with leaving for a couple days. We try not to charge like hourlies or dailies of being gone. That's already kind of included in the, right, whatever, like my hard costs. I don't charge for food. You know how most of the times they treat me, or they'll bring us out to lunch or dinner or something like that. But yeah, I try to stay away from that because the thing is, if you think about it, what would the client rather spend money on? Would they rather spend money on a $1,000 love story and $500 of the videographer's time, or a $1,500 love story where they don't have to spend anything on the time? And already right there, the perceived difference of value between the two of them is a $1,000 love story versus a $1,500 love story. So they're going to gravitate towards wanting to spend $1,500 in a love story. It's just that's kind of our philosophy on how, with even weddings, like I don't want to charge them per diems and hourlies and this and that. And if you do that, that's fine. It's your way of running your business works for you. But again, it's like would I rather charge someone $50 more? Like maybe I'll charge them or upsell. I'll be like, instead of spending additional money on travel for us, like instead of charging a per diem or anything like that, if you include in this like doc edit, we'll come in, we'll do all this, and I'm trying to give value from what they're getting as opposed to charging them for time. And I think clients receive it better and feel better about it because it feels like they're getting 100% of their money's worth. Because it kind of sucks if you're thinking about you're getting $1,000 worth of product, but you're spending $500 to get it.
But you're still charging for like.
Oh yeah. Like I make them pay hard travel costs.
What are love stories? When you say you talk about upselling to a love story, what is that?
Love story film for us is when we do an interview with both parts of the couple, and we ask them questions about like the genesis of their relationship. And when you edit it together, it can be really amusing and romantic at the same time. It's romantic when parts of their love story or their perspective of everything lines up, and really amusing when it doesn't. You know, when they're like, oh, this other, you know, oh, she really had it in for me first. Like, it's, you know, she really was head over heels for me. It took me a while to warm up to her. And she's saying, like, oh, he was crazy for me. Just like, you know, when you hear the two intersecting themes, you know, it creates kind of like this really, it's really kind of a romantic comedy of the couple's story. And so we kind of have two versions of a love story. The first just focuses on the interview, edited down. The second will be the interview mixed in with B-roll footage of the two of them being together.
Okay, all right. I guess I call it engagement session.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, I guess by the interviews, I consider those two. I offer an engagement session with a bunch of people at a location. It's like engagement stuff.
What's great about those, it's like they don't seem to count towards the budget of what they have budgeted for their wedding film. So if you can sell one of those, it's like it doesn't count. It's just like it's a separate budget.
Would you use some of that footage for your wedding film?
Great question. We don't use that footage for the wedding film. We keep it separate, completely separate from the wedding film. There might be an exception to that rule, and I haven't hit it yet, but I would definitely be open if there was a reason why that would be part of the wedding film.
What's the typical length of the message?
So this one, as an example that I gave, I think it was like 3 to 5 minutes, but I had so much footage and so much great interview. I told them that I needed to double it. And okay, how long did that one end up being?
Like 8 minutes, maybe?
It ended up being about 8 minutes. I mean, the funny thing is that she had finished editing it. She was like, it's 8 minutes long. I'm like, I sold them on like a 4-minute one. And so I'm like, hold up, don't make any changes. So I called them up and said, we can make it 8-minute film. So then I told them, I said, look, normally the price, you know, for this is an additional $1,000. And when I promote something heavily to a client, I usually offer a discount because I'm telling them this is something they should really have. I said, you really need the extra length, and I'm willing to discount it to make sure you get it. So it was great because we made $500 and didn't have to do any more work.
Is that the typical amount, like adding them in with your highlight films, the same price as
No, the creative edit from our wedding films are different because this is mostly just interview with B-roll. It's going to be a little bit easier to edit. I mean, the interview portion is hard, but once you have the story, you're literally just putting B-roll on top of it. So it's a little bit easier of an edit.
So how do you, because I've tried selling this to a couple of clients. I had one that I was able to sell it to at a discount price because I haven't done any yet. But then I've had some tell me like, oh, you know, our story is just like not that interesting, or you know, that sort of thing, where they're like, they don't have like, in their minds, you know, it wouldn't be interesting, but you know, it's like I could make it interesting, you know, or I could present it in a way that you haven't seen it before.
I mean, I would sell it as something as a generational thing, where we're capturing this so that way your children will get to know your story one day. And even though you might not think it's interesting, your kids would love to be able to watch this and see, you know, hear the story about how you met and how you fell in love. And even if it doesn't sound super interesting to you, they're going to love it. And not only that, they're going to love seeing you talk. They're going to love hearing you. They're going to love seeing you as younger versions of yourself and just get a feel for who you are as people and your personalities.
Okay. Now, at the time you were saying that, anyway, I'm imagining you already had built some rapport with them, but already told you a little bit of the story, so you can actually...
No. For some reason, they just really gravitated on the idea. I did such a soft sell on it. It was really surprising. But, you know, I gave him an opportunity, and he took it. And so it's just great that worked out like that. And honestly, I really love the film. It really ended up being good.
For me, when I started offering those, and probably probably 1 out of 3 couples would actually go for it. But for the last 5 years, people don't even ask, don't care.
Are you pushing it? Is it prominent on your website? If you're not pushing it, if it's not on your website, then people won't go for it. People will go for what you're pushing. You know, when I was talking about rehearsal dinners, I was pushing rehearsal dinners heavily, and I think it ended up off the slide somehow. I'm not sure what happened to it. But I call it my slippery slope of upsells, where I get them on a rehearsal dinner. I push the rehearsal dinner hard. Then after I got the rehearsal dinner, then I was able to get the PA system rental, extended like hours, like the love story. There's just so many upsells that can come out of doing a rehearsal dinner that it just ends up being, from one upsell, it ends up being like, could be like 3 or 4. Photo montages. Hey, if you're already at the rehearsal dinner and it's a great place to show a photo montage, you get them on the photo montage, and so you just made additional, what, $750, $500. Then you said, well, you need a way to show the photo montage. I can take care of all those logistics for you, set up a projector, screen, PA system, sync it to music, and it'd be great for all of your guests. And before you know it, you just added on like 3 or 4 different upsells. But I push it.
Would you, if they said, okay, we have our DJ that he offers that, and I don't know, if they try to make you compete with whatever they're offering, what would you answer to that?
I mean, just here's what we have to offer. Here's an example. You know, here's the price we have for it, and you know, if the DJ can match that, the quality and the price, you know, go with who you think is going to offer you a better product.
Are you talking about the PA system?
Well, no, not just the PA system, but sometimes DJs do offer the projector. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I don't really see DJs offering projectors as much. I know they would, but I don't try to compete. I offer it to them, and I'm probably the first person really doing a push for things like the photo montage. Usually, and this is critical, usually if someone wants a photo montage, whoever the first person who pushes it to them is going to get the sale. Whether that's the photographer, the videographer, the DJ, the planner, the venue, who knows, the friend. It's just like, that's why you have to be in the forefront of, here's what we have to offer. And they might already be thinking photo montage. They see you do it, they want to inquire. You get the photo montage, then you can say how you're going to display it. The next thing you know, you got the PA system and, you know, screen rental and a projector rental. And that's why just getting one upsell can lead to multiple. Hey, I'm already going to be at the rehearsal dinner. If you want, we can just increase your coverage. $500, we'll record the toast.
Do you find like it's hard to do some of these upsells because we are one of the last people that they hired? And like you said, if you're the first person in line to offer, but you know, if we're last in line to be picked.
It depends when I do them. You know, rehearsal dinner coverage is definitely something I'm preaching from day one of talking to the client. I'm putting the bug in their ear. I say things like, look, just think about it. It's not going to be important until about a month before the wedding. That's when things like the rehearsal dinner start to become more important. Even if you don't have us cover the rehearsal dinner, get someone to do it. If you get us, you're going to get a professional product. It's going to look great and it's going to sound great. But have someone do it. And I'll usually tell them about my own personal story. We did not have anyone record our rehearsal dinner toasts. And I remember them, and I remember nothing about what anyone said. And I tell people that, and I said that you know, I wish I had gotten someone to do it. It's great that I can use. You can all use my personal story about that. But you know, if you're doing it about a month before, it's still possible. A week before, it's not going to happen. But especially when you're doing things like love stories and photo montages, those really have to be pushed months out. Not even a month out for a photo montage and love stories is not really enough time.
One more question about your love stories. Do you guys have like kind of tried and true like prompt questions that you give to them?
Yeah. So I mean, I have a list of questions, but the most important thing about doing a love story and doing it well, you really have to be active listening, because there's always going to be follow-up questions where you need to dig and pry, because you can tell there's more to the story. I mean, you can get a decent love story by asking canned questions. But you need to be active listening to figure out where there's pieces of the story that are missing that are really important. And also, you get someone who just starts answering every question like yes, no, you know, just like one sentence answers, and you really need to do follow-ups to try to get as much information as you need.
Right. Do you have a way of asking the questions to, because like I know when I'm interviewing someone, I do that. I say, tell me, like, start off by saying part of the question back to me. So at least I get more than just a yes.
Yeah, no, I tell them to make sure to repeat the question in their answer. You know, like, when did you first meet? But when you say that, say, we first met, fill in the blank. That's important because otherwise, you know, if your editor, like her, she's not there, she's not going to be able to really pick up well on it. But second of all, with just basic storytelling, it sounds a lot better when they're prefacing their answers. All right, guys, find me after class if you have more questions about the upsells. Write them down. I will answer them for you. Kay just gave me the hook. But we need to move on. But find me after class, I'll answer, or on the groups, I'll answer them as well. But, you know, we'll be hanging out a little bit afterwards.